Hi there, it's Isabel from Autism Untouched. Like I told you guys this morning after I made that video of Matthew doing his morning routine and getting out of the car, going to the pedestrian crossing and then running up to the school gate. Now, to you guys that's watching that, it probably seems like he's got it all figured out, but I am here to tell you it wasn't always like that. I'm going to teach you how I went about to teach him how to use the pathway, the pedestrian crossing, how to start crossing the road with caution and responsibly. And I am here to tell you it did not happen overnight. It went a bit backwards and forwards. It took me about, I would say, 2 years to actually get Matthew to the point where he's 7 now, where he does walk with me on the footpath, and then he'll go wait at the pedestrian crossing and cross. And he has, he still makes mistakes, but in general he does not run into the road anymore. You'll see in some of the videos I'm still cautious when I take him outside in front. We live in a very, very busy road. I will tell him, remind him, focus on what we are doing. We are going to say fetch his ball that he threw over the fence. The main thing is to teach your child how to focus. Now Matthew is a visual learner, so I taught him how to cross the road and how to be responsible while walking on the sidewalk with visuals. I explained to him over and over again, and it took a long time to train him. And thing is, Matthew's going to school, so me and the school, we do work together, but I started letting him do more things on his own. It was very scary in the beginning, like to let him walk over the pedestrian crossing on his own, because we had a big scare. And even for him, it has taught him a lot not to look, not to just assume people are going to stop at a pedestrian crossing. But I'll start off by telling you how it started out. Between the ages of 3 and 5, I would say 5.5, Matthew was running wild when we were on the sidewalk. He ran, and he had no regard for people that are on the sidewalk already. He had to learn to look out for people. It's things you can teach your child. It just takes perseverance. He used to run over the road. He didn't look if there was cars coming. It was nerve-wracking in the beginning, but I realized that if I don't teach him, it's always going to be a problem. I can't just assume. A lot of the experts, like I said, they said, but he's a runner. He's always he was like that a lot. If he sees an open door or open gate, he just runs. So it was really hard to keep him safe. He used to climb over our fence at the back. I used to have my hands full, but I'm telling you, it's just a matter of persevering, and he is very strong-willed. You will see in some of the videos, if he wants to do something first before he does the task that you have given him, he will not do the task you have given him until he has done what he wanted to do. And I've learned to not see that as a power struggle, but see it as, let's see where it's going. Let's listen to him, what he wants to do. And not that he's the boss of me, but yes, I learned that when I started listening to him, he started listening to me. So how I started off with teaching him to cross the road and to walk on the sidewalk and consider other people it took a long time. Like I said, it took me almost 2 years. And I held his hand. In the beginning, I held his hand, always walking hand in hand with him if your child runs in the road, it is a safety precaution to hold their hand. I'm not going to lie to you, I did that for months and months on end before I started allowing him to walk like a few steps in front of me. But I always, because of the nature of our autistic children, they have to learn about dangerous situations, they have to learn about risks and about consequences, and we need to show that to them in a way that they don't get hurt. Sometimes it's impossible to bubble wrap your child and nothing ever goes wrong with them, but it is our main priority is to keep our kids safe and to learn them road safety, so that there comes a point in the later years that they can do so independently. That is what your goal is to help your child be independent and think independently, because we are not going to be there as parents forever to hold their hand. So it is just so vital to use these younger forming years and even later years. It's never too late to teach our children how to be safe when they cross the road and when they are, anywhere near a busy road. So this is what I started doing with Matthew. When we got out the car, I would show him at home. We're going to get into the car now. This is a van, but yes, sometimes they use the van at school. And then I would show him this one. I would show him and he understood. I said, we don't run on the walkway, we walk. So he has had a thing, it's just something, it's part of his morning routine, part of his personality probably. On our walkway, the footpath to leading up to the pedestrian crossing, there you'll see in the video there's like a little hill on the side of the footpath, and it's got a fence. There's a big fence there. Now I allow him, this is how I learned. I allowed him, I still allow him. I showed him that I'll let you have that a little bit of independence. So he walks, he runs, he likes running down the fence. When we come a few meters before we find the pedestrian crossing, then I will tell Matthew, okay, now it's time to focus on our job. We've got to cross the road. You have to speak to your child and assume that they understand. And let me tell you, 90% of the time they do. I've tested Matthew how many times, and then I was so surprised to see that he actually understands exactly what I'm saying. So this is where I start with it. And what I did was I let him walk on the, sometimes it depends, I let him lead me. So sometimes he would want to walk on the footpath, and I use those opportunities. You must always be open for opportunities and don't worry about people around you. You've got to be focused on your child. And then if I see somebody, say, walking on the footpath with a dog, and I would sometimes ask the person, because Matthew loves dogs and he loves any animal, so I would ask the person, excuse me, will you allow my son to touch your dog, or is it safe for him? And you know what, a lot of people are more than happy. And then I'll let Matthew get that reward of petting the dog, and I'll say thank you, and I'll tell him, say thank you to the gentleman or the lady that you were allowed to pet the dog. And you'll be surprised how kind people are. If you are showing the initiative to help your child get confident walking on footpaths, interacting with other people on the footpath, whether it is school or not, it gives them that sense of interacting with others and accomplishment. So getting now to the point where they have to cross the road, this is what I did with Matthew. I would tell him, okay, so now, and I would start preparing him, tell him, okay, we're going to cross the pedestrian crossing now. And if it's the school morning, I would tell him, okay, we are going to class now. So he knows already when he's at the pedestrian crossing. If the main thing is with your child, they are visual thinkers. You've got to prepare your child that this is where you are going now. They love that. They love feeling secure And I've seen that with Matthew and a lot of other kids. They want to know, what is the next step? What can I expect now? It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel confident. So if we would be, say we're going to this is the park, the one for the park, or the playground, whichever place we are on our way to. I'm just using the school one now for the example of the video. But yes, I would show him this is where we're going, so he knows. And before, so BB knows before we cross the road, this is going to be the end result. This is where I'm going, so they know what they are working for. If you are going to the grocery store, for instance, in our case, it would be, see if I can find it here for you. It would be Countdown, or let's see, Pack and Save, or Warehouse. It's one of the places that we go to. But the point is, so now I have got him off the little hill where he's allowed to wait, and now he's got to be responsible. He's got to wait behind the line where the pedestrian crossing, the people that patrol the pedestrian crossing, where they are at. And now I show him this one, and he understands this means wait. It means that I have to stand still now, and then and with repetitive instructions, I will tell him, okay, they're going to open up the pedestrian crossing now, and they're going to say signs out, and I tell him to listen. You'll see on the video that I had at his school routine, and I will tell him we're still waiting. I'll show it to him in his eyes, we're still waiting. And when they say cross now, I'll tell him, okay, there you go, green light, you're ready to go. And he understands that. Then he normally, I try and show him the sign walk. Sometimes he'll walk like a pro, walk with mum across the pedestrian crossing. Other times he'll go for the gate, because I've shown him the classroom visual already. I don't always use the visual. I keep it with me, but I don't always use the visual. If he's learned a skill, then I don't use the visuals as much. I do use it still when I go out to new places and various situations, but the point is, what you are aiming at is using the visuals until that child memorizes and knows that action that needs to be taken to be safe. So now I show him this. I would really, really highly recommend you getting signs like these. They work for autistic kids. They work a wonder. I've seen a lot of kids that they work with. And so now we're going to crossing the road, and then we go to the gate. And normally I'll allow him then, because he's crossed the road responsibly, he gets rewarded. He can go by himself to the gate. Sometimes he closes the gate like you saw this morning to get a head start on me, and he thinks he's laughing and giggling because I've got to run after him. We don't always do it like that, but it is fun. It doesn't have to be a whole sour experience and all serious. So then I allow him to find his class, and those are all things that it's part of being safe in the community and being safe around other people. And that way, Matthew also learns to interact with people, because when he's at the pedestrian crossing, I talk to him. I tell him, say good morning to the lady, say thank you that they opened up the pedestrian crossing for you, the patrols. And you use those opportunities to teach them not only safety, but also courtesy. That's why the reason why I made this video is to tell you, don't be scared to teach your child skills like that. It is important. Like I said, you're not going to be there to hold his hand forever, and it just gives them such a sense of achievement when they can do things by themselves. So I was going to tell you guys the story quickly about why I decided to teach Matthew these skills. Is because one day we were crossing a street, and it was just before we got to a school and a playground, and I've taught him, look right, look left, look right, look left, and again look right. I taught him that, and we were doing that, and we started crossing the pedestrian crossing. And when we were just about in the middle, a car came speeding around the corner. It was just from one of the side streets, and the car actually almost knocked Matthew over. He was not, by that time he left my hand. He was about a few, I would say about 15 centimeters before me, and I still believe it's just a miracle. This guy was heading right for him, and all I saw is Matthew's hand touched his car, and this guy he almost knocked Matthew over, but his hand was on the car as the guy just drove past and was speeding down the road. Didn't even look back to see if we were okay. It was terrifying, but it was also one of those crossroads moments where I decided I've got to step up on teaching him road safety, and it is so important. If you can get these signs, make them yourselves. It's not impossible. I believe in these because autistic kids, they often, for the most part, are visual kids. And it works, and you can keep your child safe. Thank you for listening. Isabel from Autism Untouched.